in Tampa, and he'll start off the program today, and he says hello. Scott, welcome. How are you, buddy? What's going on?
I'm good, Doggy. Thanks. How are you today?
Fine, Scott. Thank you. Let me hear now. Fire away.
So a few things on the game before the Matt Ryan thing. First on the officiating, Chris. You're 1,000% right. Let's look at this. There were 28, I believe, accepted penalties last night, and a lot more that weren't accepted. So if we're going to have games where there's basically a flag thrown every 2 minutes of action, the game's going to be on. Well, who is going to want to watch that? Every 2 minutes, there's going to be a flag on the field. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, listen, and you can't kill them. They didn't call a helmet-to-helmet once. They caught a couple of dubious pass interferences and, obstructions and all that.
The roughing the punter penalty was not roughing the punter. He was blocked in, and he barely hit the punter. And Julio Jones caught the ball. They showed it from 5 different angles.
I can't believe they didn't call that a catch. That I agree with you on. I can't believe they didn't call that a catch. I'm going to blame the sloppiness of the teams without having any serious dress rehearsal, more so than I'm going to blame the officials. But go ahead. You may continue.
Let's hope that's the case, because you and I both know that many flags will not make for great football.
Yeah, and I think the ratings are down for a variety of reasons. First off, it's early September. There's other things going on. People are not wrapped up in it yet. Number two, there was a 45-minute delay. I do think that there's a little turn-off with the NFL right now with fans, whether it's Kaepernick, whether it's the anthem. That subject does not go away. I definitely think that's a factor. I mean, there's a lot of reasons of why the ratings aren't as good as they have been. Go ahead.
And here's the thing on Matt Ryan and the Falcons. Now, look, I'll agree with you. Matt Ryan's not a world-beater quarterback, but Chris, come on. When Kyle Shanahan was his play caller, he was the MVP. Since Sark has been there, he's gone downhill. And look, they had the first series of the game. They go right down the field. The first 3 plays on first and goal, Julio Jones isn't even on the field.
That's Julio, but that's Julio Jones. You don't blame that on Sarkisian. I mean,
that's Julio Jones. That's Sarkisian. Sarkisian calls the play. Call a play that put Julio Jones.
Well, maybe Julio Jones took it. Well, maybe Julio Jones took himself out. I mean, I don't know why. Scott, I think the bigger issue is they look for Julio Jones too much in the red zone. They gave me the statistics last night. 20 times in the last couple of meetings between these two teams, they looked to throw the ball to Julio Jones, and they've scored. They've had one completion, for crying out loud.
But the one thing is, when Kyle Shanahan was calling plays, Matt Ryan was the MVP of the league. Since Sark has been there, their offense has gone ridiculously south.
Well, I mean, I know you can make that. I know you listen. They haven't had the same personnel. I mean, and remember, Shanahan, the fourth quarter against the Patriots was not a thing of beauty in the Super Bowl. We've gone through that 1,000 times with sacks and everything else. So there's a couple things we didn't like late in that game against New England. Let's keep that fresh in our minds as well. Listen, you want to say Sarkisian something to do with it? I'm looking at the big picture, and I'll tell you right now, Matt Ryan's not that good. That's the big picture. And now, when I say that, I mean it in reference to the other quarterbacks who are good in the NFL. We know who they are. He is just not that good. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, and I never loved him at BC. I never thought he was great at BC. I mean, you didn't hear me then 10 years ago, but I said that all the time, that I always thought he was a little overrated at Boston College. I have never been a big fan, and I don't trust him in a big game. If you're a great quarterback, he has had 8 throws into the end zone against the Eagles the last 2 times they played in the final minute, and he has not been able to score one. I'm sorry, 9 plays, because they had a penalty last night. 9 plays. He has had a chance to put his team ahead. 1 in a playoff game, 1 in week 1, and he was not able to do it. That's not Sarkisian's fault. Make a play. He's making $30 million a year. Make a play, for crying out loud. There comes a point you got to blame the players. Can't be all the play calling. Nick in Indiana, and he says hello, and he's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Nick, good afternoon. How are you today, pal?
Hello, Chris. I hope you're doing well today, sir. I'll make this quick for you.
Go ahead, Nick.
Big fan, but anyway.
Yep.
All right. What I was going to say is a quick thing about the game last night. I think your opinion on Matt Ryan, I think you're absolutely right. I think he's not a high-caliber player that's getting paid high-caliber money, and that's part of the dysfunction with the NFL and its pay system, like what we just saw with Khalil Mack. Quarterbacks make insane money for average play, and great players get traded away. I don't get it. But anyway, the point I'm really getting at is that with the situation with the NFL this year and how chaotic that game was, I think that shortening the preseason to just simply 3 games and extending 1 game onto the regular season, I mean, I think that might create more incentive behind coaches playing their starters and getting things out there to help them be I don't know, maybe even short. I don't know. There's a lot of thought going into it, but I'm sorry for rambling.
No, they need to do something. Now, I don't know. Again, the coaches want preseason games. They're going to raise bloody hell if you shorten it to 2 games or whatever the case might be. The players do not want to play 18 regular season games. But the injury factor is such a huge deal. But you will see it all weekend, Nick. The quality of play early in September with all these teams stinks. I mean, this is the first football game that they play. It's the first football game Atlanta has played since January. What did Matt Ryan? And don't tell me about practice, okay? You can play all you want in practice. You can go to the driving range all day and hit balls. When you go to that first tee, it's different. I can warm up for 45 minutes. When I hit my first serve, it's different. I can go do 7-on-7 drills until the cows come home. When they kick it off for real and they hit for real, then it's a different story. And these teams just are not ready. It's simple. And again, you want to blame it on the officiating? I'm sure there's 2 or 3 calls we can talk about that we didn't like, that were very dubious, but I'll blame it more on the sloppiness of these teams. I'll go there from that standpoint. Darren is in Hamilton, Ontario in Canada. Darren, good afternoon. How are you today?
Hello, Chris. That game last night was like the sunny delight of football. No juice at all in that game. The Philly fan, it sounded terrible on my television. I don't know what it was like there. The fans didn't seem to be into it. And thanks, Chris, for giving us the rating, because I was going to ask you about that. And maybe you could go back maybe the last couple of years and just see how much down this rating was. But, I wonder, is it Kaepernick? Is it the anthem? Or is it that this football, it's just not good anymore? I mean,
I don't think, Darren, the fans are, I gotta put myself in that category. I don't think the fans are astute enough to be turned off by the quality of the NFL game. They may not like the length of it. They think the game can be a little tedious this time of the year, but I don't think the aesthetic beauty of the game that at times is a little spotty affects what the number is. I definitely think the Kaepernick thing, I think there's a lot of fans who are turned off. Not enough to make that big a deal about it, but I think that contributes to the lower ranked numbers that they've had the last 5-6 years on a continuous basis. And the NFL hates it. I mean, the NFL prides itself on blowing people away with TV and with ratings. They love it, the national game, and we all care about all the teams, and they love to bury baseball and bury all the sports. So if they have that feeling, which they do, well, then they got to take the hit when the rating's not that good. I think there's a variety of factors that contributes. Rich is in Massachusetts. Chance for him. Rich, good afternoon. How are you today, pal?
How you doing, dog?
Rich, nice to talk to you. What's on your mind now? Let me hear.
Okay. Well, first of all, I agree with you overall with your assessment of Ryan and so on. But one thing that I will say that, and it's kind of frustrating, and I have no dog in the fight, no pun intended. I didn't really care who won. But we spent God knows how long now talking about a catch is a catch or what's a catch or whatever. And the catch that we all know was a catch, Julio Jones, where it becomes a problem is it would happen in the third quarter, and okay, fine, they had a lot of chances to win.
Was it in the third quarter? I couldn't remember when it happened.
Okay, but here's the key. Because they didn't do what they should have done and overturn it,
right.
Atlanta lost a timeout. And now, if they have a timeout at the end of the game when they're down at first and goal,
good point.
The whole thing's changed because
they might be able to try a running play. Yeah.
Right. And that's how they go. They scored the touchdown, remember, was for running it in from like the 9-yard line.
I still think, it's well said, Rich. Well done. You did lose a timeout. First off, you lost 56 yards, and you lost a timeout, and you lost a challenge. You lost a lot there.
Right.
That is all true, fair, but Still, is it fair to how about we tell Matt Ryan 9 plays from inside the 10-yard line in the last 2 years in the game-ending situations against Philly? How about sticking the ball in the end zone once? You think Joe Montana would have scored? You think Montana puts the ball in the end zone there? How about Rodgers? You think Rodgers figures out a way? Brady? You think these guys? He's getting paid $30 million a year for crying out loud. Put the ball in the end zone.
That's the problem, right? But that's also the problem with now. With the way it is, like why, as an example, what Oakland had to do with Mack, and probably what's going on with Bell and so on, the teams can't afford to pay, for lack of a better term, 2 max contracts.
I think it's tricky. I think it's very tricky to do that. I think the ideal thing in the NFL, you know what the big weapon in the NFL, the big weapon right now in the NFL is simply this. Have a quarterback who's in his first couple years not making any money and he's great. It's a key. Because then you can build your team for the 3 or 4 year period with a quarterback who's making no money, and you can surround him with lots of ingredients. That is very, very important. And that is why San Francisco, as they've said 1,000 times with Kaepernick, that is why Seattle, they were able to take advantage and play in 3 straight championship games because they had quarterbacks making no money. And that's why if Darnold ever got good quickly, the Jets are going to be in good shape. Same thing goes for Browns, all these teams. If the quarterback is excellent early in his career, you can really take advantage. And the other negative for these teams is that no matter who the quarterback is, if he's decent, you feel compelled to pay him. Stafford making a fortune. Stafford doesn't earn. He's not a great player. Everybody raves about his arm. Anybody, you think Matthew Stafford's a great player? Not in my eyes, he isn't. Matt Ryan, same thing. They're paying Matt Ryan $30 million. Half Pass Sports by Jeremy Huber. Mad Dog Unleashed.